Have you ever sent that text and immediately regretted it? The one where you over-explained, justified your position, or pleaded for a reply. Or maybe you found yourself chasing recognition, a relationship, or an opportunity that always seems just out of reach, leaving you feeling drained and powerless. What if the very act of chasing, begging, and explaining is what's sabotaging your peace and your power? What if there was an ancient philosophy that taught the exact opposite? That true strength isn't found in frantic action, but in a profound and deliberate stillness. Today, we're exploring a Stoic superpower, the power that comes from knowing when to stop, the power of never chase, never beg, never explain. We're going to discover how your silence can become an unbreakable inner fortress. At first glance, never chase, never beg, never explain might sound like a recipe for passive aggression or cold detachment. But in Stoicism, it is the ultimate expression of wisdom, self-respect, and alignment with reality. Stoicism divides the world into two categories: what is within our control and what is not. Our own judgments, our actions, our desires, and our aversions. These are proheretikon, our faculty of choice. Everything else, the opinions of others, past events, external outcomes, the behavior of other people, is aproherton, not up to us. Chasing, begging, and over-explaining are almost always frantic attempts to control what is not ours to control. We chase validation, which is in the hands of others. We beg for affection or favor, which is not ours to grant. We explain ourselves into the void, trying to force someone to see our perspective, which is their own choice. The Stoics called this passion in the classical sense, a disorderly, unhealthy movement of the soul against nature. It's the opposite of apatheia, which isn't apathy, but freedom from unhealthy passions. It is clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who faced endless wars and betrayals, constantly reminded himself in his private journal, the Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't chase the loyalty of treacherous generals. He focused on his own duty. He didn't beg for easier circumstances. He accepted the reality of his station. He didn't explain himself to the gossipers of Rome. He lived by his principles. Seneca, writing to his friend Lucilius, put it bluntly, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How much of our chasing is fueled by the imagined catastrophe of not having that thing? How much of our begging is driven by the imagined horror of being without that person or position? And how much of our explaining is an attempt to manage an imagined version of what others might think of us? Epictetus, the former slave, built his entire teaching on this dichotomy. He said, "Work, therefore, to be able to say to every harsh appearance, 'You are but an appearance, and not at all the thing you appear to be.' The appearance is that you need to chase that goal to be happy. The appearance is that you must beg to avoid ruin. The appearance is that you are obligated to explain your every move. These are appearances. Your superpower is to see through them. In the modern world, this translates directly. Chasing likes and followers, begging for a second chance from someone who has shown you their disinterest, explaining your life choices to every critic. These are surrenders of your inner citadel. They are admissions that your peace depends on something external. The Stoic says, "My peace depends on me." So how do we turn this philosophy from a lofty ideal into daily practice? How do we build this superpower of silence and self-containment? Here are 4 actionable steps. 1. Practice the pause, the discipline of assent. Before you hit send, make the call, or launch into a justification, impose a mandatory pause. Epictetus taught the discipline of assent. Don't immediately agree with every impulsive impression. The impulse to chase, beg, or explain is just that. An impression, a feeling. It is not a command. In that pause, ask the Stoic question. Is this within my control? Is there reply within my control? Is there approval within my control? Is there understanding within my control? If the answer is no, your action should shift. The pause itself is the beginning of your silent power. 2. Define your enough, the Stoic doctrine of desire. Much chasing comes from an infinite, undefined hunger. The Stoics practice defining what is enough for them in terms of virtue and character. Write down your core principles. What does it mean for you to act with integrity, courage, and wisdom today? If you have done that, you have succeeded. External outcomes are preferred or dispreferred, but they are not the metric of your worth. When you know you have lived by your code, the urge to beg for external validation evaporates. You have already given yourself the only validation that is real and within your control. 3. Let actions be your explanation. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Over-explaining is often a sign that our actions have not aligned with our values, and we're using words to cover the gap. Instead, let your consistent actions speak. Be punctual, be honest, do your work with excellence, treat people with kindness. When you do this, you build a reputation that needs no footnotes, and if someone chooses to misinterpret your actions, that is their impression to manage. As Marcus also said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Redirect that care inward." 4. Conduct inner dialogues, not outer pleadings. When you feel the urge to beg or explain to someone else, turn that energy inward. Have the conversation with yourself. Write it in a journal. Why do I feel this need? What am I afraid will happen if I stay silent? Is that fear rational? Is that outcome truly a catastrophe? Or is it just uncomfortable? This is the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of hardships. By facing the feared outcome in your mind and accepting it, you drain it of its power to control your behavior. You realize you can endure not having that thing, that person, that approval. Your inner dialogue fortifies you, making outer pleading unnecessary. 5. Embrace voluntary discomfort to wean off neediness. This is a training exercise from Epictetus. Periodically, choose to go without something you typically chase. Skip a meal intentionally. Wear a simple outfit. Decline an invitation to practice being okay with it. Take a full day off social media. This isn't punishment. It's a drill. It's you proving to yourself in a small way that your happiness and stability are not hostage to these external things. The less needy you are, the less you will ever feel the need to beg. You cultivate an inner abundance. The superpower of silence isn't about never speaking. It's about knowing that your worth isn't negotiated through words. Your peace isn't purchased through pursuit, and your dignity is never up for debate. It's the silence of the deep root system of an oak tree. It doesn't chase the wind, beg the sun, or explain itself to the storm. It draws strength from within and stands firm. That is your goal. To move from a reactive life, chasing every desire, begging every circumstance, explaining yourself to every critic, to a proactive life, a life built on the solid rock of what you can control. Your character, your judgments, your actions. Remember the words of Seneca. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, and to live with quiet, principled self-ownership is the highest form of that courage. Your silence becomes your superpower when it is the silence of a mind at peace with itself, no longer looking for permission from the world. If this Stoic perspective resonated with you, and you want more tools to build your inner fortress, like this video, it helps others find this path. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's one area of your life where you can practice never chase, never beg, never explain this week? And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're here to explore the wisdom of the ages to build a better life today. Until next time, practice the pause. Memento mori.